Hello and welcome everyone to the inaugural Privacy Rules Meet the Member podcast. My name is Lauren Toussaint, Executive Director of Privacy Rules. This will be a regular podcast in which I introduce a member of the Privacy Rules Alliance, and we speak with that member about his or her business so that we all get to know that member a little bit better. Today, I'm with Chris Huntington of Nexigen. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Lauren.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Chris Huntington is the Chief Information Security Officer of Nexigen, which is a IT company based and headquartered in Cincinnati with offices also in Newport, Kentucky, and operations and business all around the world. Chris Huntington is going to tell us today a little bit more about what Nexigen does and what they are doing in the Privacy Rules Alliance. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Chris, who is going to tell us specifically about risk management and a little bit more about their Nexigen's exciting phishing platform product. So over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Lauren. I just wanted to first say thanks for giving us the opportunity to speak with your audience and explain a little bit more about what we do. We're excited to be a member of Privacy Rules, especially for what we do in the risk management side of security. We take a risk-based approach to security decision-making in that we try to help our clients understand what their risk profile is, dive into their risk tolerance, and understand a little bit more about how they do business in order to understand that what you need is largely based on how you work. And I can't tell you what you need until I can find out what you need to do business on a day-to-day basis. So we've taken a risk-based approach to cybersecurity recommendations, and we built out a really solid risk management platform that's aimed at the mid-market, in that it is a situational risk assessment process where we really dive into specific outcomes. We think about what would happen if, and then we try to wrap a little bit of the numbers around the if. That way we can recommend the right type of controls to help you get to the point where the if is answered. What if? Then we have a pretty good idea what the outcome is going to be, what it might cost us, and what I should spend in order to mitigate that risk. So we've taken that approach with our clients to make sure that they understand that every company is different. Every company has a different risk profile, and they have a different tolerance for risk. Some companies are more risk adverse. Some are willing to go fast and furious to make sure that they are the first to market. So we have to understand pretty much all of the tolerances in the company and help you make the right decisions in order to protect what really matters to you. That goes exactly to the phishing side. We knew that phishing was a big problem, right? 95% of breaches start with a phishing attack. So we knew it was a big problem. We wanted to do something about it, but we didn't feel that any of the platforms that were on the market when we came to market with ours really served the medium business. They were labor intensive, required multiple people to create the campaigns, multiple people to manage the campaigns, multiple people to manage the lists. It was just on and on. It was an enterprise tool, and the customers that we interact with around the world, the mid-sized businesses, they don't have the $10, $20, $30,000 to spend just on the tool, and then 4 or 5 people to hire in order to manage it. It just doesn't make sense. But we understand that medium businesses are just as heavily impacted by phishing attacks. So we built one that's a total white glove solution where a client can tell us go, and we will take the phishing emails that are sent to us by our 1,100 customers worldwide on a day-to-day basis, and we'll give you actionable phishing emails in your inbox to your employees so that they can learn from and interact with these in a safe environment. We're giving you timely phishing campaigns that we're seeing, worldwide across our 3 continents that we do work on, and I think 22 countries at this point. We get a lot of phishing emails sent unto us, and we utilize those in order to make sure that our clients are educated better to deal with the attack, but without having to go through all of the hiring and everything that comes along with a big enterprise phishing platform. We handle it for you. All you have to do is log in and get the report at the end of the month. So, with the amount of impact that we found in all of our risk assessment processes around phishing, and the huge amount of potential that it poses for threat for risk, we couldn't stand by and let the mid-market not have a tool that was just as good, but without them having to manage it themselves.
Gotcha. So just so I understand a little bit more about the tool, first of all, I don't think we've said the most important thing, which is, what is it called?
So we are just in the exciting process of rebranding. So our new brand for the phishing portal is going to be called Snared Security. It's pretty appropriate given that we're kind of setting the trap and allowing this and seeing what actually goes through it. So we're really excited about some new, fresh, up-to-date branding and a renewed amount of enthusiasm around the product and what's going on around it. So, but you can, it's a Nexigen product. It's going to be inseparable from us, and it's an exciting time as we're really rapidly growing because that market is so wide open. We're the only ones that are giving it any attention. So from that perspective, it's an open, unpenetrated market for us that we're really working hard to identify with, to listen to our customers, and to grow along with their needs.
And you mean specifically phishing or just sort of risk management in general?
Yeah, the phishing specifically with Snared is, we're listening to the mid-market, and we're letting them guide the enhancements that we put in. This is currently being developed every single day. We have weekly releases coming out that have new features in them every single week. Sometimes they're on our side, a lot of times they're customer facing. So it's really exciting to be able to work with clients to get feedback and to be able to rapidly put that feedback into action.
Yeah. Just to give you a quick statistic that I read recently, actually in an article from November of 2018, one of the Chubb executives, Chubb is an insurance provider, he reported that 50% of all the losses in the manufacturing industry were due to a phishing attack last year.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
So apparently this is quite a big problem still.
Yeah, I think 95% is what the Verizon DBIR says of breaches that start there. Direct losses of being at 50% doesn't surprise me. We see every day, unfortunately, we still see every day.
Total losses. Yeah.
Yeah, total losses. That's an unbelievable amount just for one attack. One attack vector, we call it, or one attack surface is responsible for 50% of losses. That's an immense amount.
Yeah.
We see it's just an immense.
I don't know if he was referring to Chubb's losses or.
Either way, Chubb is such a big insurance provider. I wouldn't see how that wouldn't be irrelevant across the entire industry in general. That's probably pretty accurate. We see every day in the mid-market where customers have a phishing breach, and it can be as simple as they're sending out malware to their clients, or as bad as sitting there waiting to intercept payment information and stuff it with different bank account numbers. And We see it every day where they just sit back and they wait for the opportunity. And as soon as you're about to send an accounts receivable form to one of your suppliers or to a supplier of yours, immediately they jump in and say, oh, by the way, my bank account information has been updated. Please send this all here. And by the time you notice it's happened, that money's gone. So it's something we unfortunately see every day. And the FBI is corroborating that it's the biggest attack of 2018. The FBI says business email compromise was the biggest attack of 2018. So from that, that Chubb, Verizon DBIR, it's all saying phishing is a big problem. The biggest thing that we can do about it, we can't turn off email, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can put in some processes in order to allow ourselves to understand that I won't accept updated banking information via email. I'll never send updated banking information via email. I will call that to you. But at the same time, people are still trying to be helpful, trying to get their job done efficiently. They need to understand how to spot these things. And we've got some tools that come along with the snared side that allow you to see some of the things that are going on in your Office 365 environment that may pose an indicator of compromise. So we can look for kind of funny rules that might be set up in people's Outlook. That's typically an indicator of compromise. Or somebody that's logged in from Cincinnati every day, logged in from Cincinnati today at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden logged in from Los Angeles that same time, or logged in from Angola or somewhere that they shouldn't be logging in from, especially when you look over and you can see them. That can be another indicator of compromise. So we'll run all of these alongside you if needed to figure out if you've been phished and to figure out if there's anybody sitting in your system. That's a tool that's incredibly important to understand. Not only are my users educated, but am I doing my due diligence to determine when this has happened? And these are tools that we've developed because we're quickly becoming an email security company.
Right. And so one of the other things that I've heard, Chris, about phishing is that even if companies are training on it, and I believe that this is maybe something interesting about your tool. Even if companies are training on it, they're not actually looking at the effectiveness of that training by, for example, having real tests. Mm-hmm. So how does your tool kind of help with that problem?
So there's a couple different ways. The first way is that we're actually actively testing monthly. So it's not just a referral to a training page that people do once a year for a half an hour and forget by the end of the day that they've done it. We're training them every month, and they're interacting with real-time phishing emails every single month. So
very cool.
The proof is in the pudding when it comes down to it. The proof is in the fact that our statistics engine will show you what your click rate is, and it'll show you what your click rate is historically. And if it's not declining, then we need to get more intensive. But it's a realistic, every month you get a point in time measurement of where your risk or where your risk is in phishing. And without that kind of experiential learning, the metrics are all there. That's
great.
People that click all the time. We also have, for our training, a points-based system. So if you've done the training and you still click on the link, and you still give me your credentials, you're going to get enough points to get referred back to training again. The more points you rack up, the more you get referred to training. So each time you get referred in, you have to go do the training again. So it's a really good motivator for people to not want to sit there doing training all the time. But we're measuring that, and we're alerting you, saying, hey, this user's racked up enough points to be referred back to training again. You can see historically where that user's been from a points perspective, and whether or not they may be somebody you need to sit down with and give some more attention to. But our training is really built around the 4 learning styles. There's getting into a little bit of, educational design. We've taken into account the Kolb learning style inventory types of learners, and we've designed this to approach all 4. rather than just dealing with the experiential learners or the abstract learners. We're really going deep to make sure that every single learning style is covered with the type of curriculum that we're giving and the real-time feedback that we give. It's really designed to be an education system, not just a tool that we took that was a hacker tool that we kind of made more, company friendly. We really wanted to make sure that this was built as an education platform, and that's the approach that we took from the inception.
Yeah. Now, Chris, we were talking earlier, you mentioned that Snared is fitting into sort of a larger risk management set of products that really Nexigen can offer to its clients. And you walked me through some of those. I just thought maybe we could share just a little bit more about that with our audience. Some of the other tools that Nexigen, or some of the other analyses maybe that Nexigen can offer to clients who are looking to become more compliant with the latest data privacy regulations, or everyone's talking about GDPR, everyone's talking about, cybersecurity. How do you know if you're healthy, and what can Nexigen do?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I alluded to earlier, and went into a little bit of background on, we have a risk management platform that we built out to be mid-market friendly, to be based on a data that board members and C-level executives outside of IT want to see. That really drives a lot of the other functions that we have, but we have a digital forensics practice that integrates really well with our phishing security and email security, because we can pull a mailbox really quickly without touching a computer and preserve a forensics report of that mailbox in order to aid in any investigations that might be going on. That full digital forensics practice is available worldwide, and we have investigators that have been trained to deal with a variety of different legal situations. We do quite a lot of consulting in the mid-market of building out a program, helping you decide based on what kind of company you are and what your objectives are, what framework you might want to use for your policies and procedures, what type of regulations may or may not apply to you. Now, we work with a lot of the legal partners in PrivacyRules in order to determine what regulations may apply, and then we can help put in pragmatic solutions in order to satisfy those requirements. And sometimes they're complex. Sometimes they have multiple requirements that we have to meet. We have to find the most restrictive one of all those requirements and find the right solutions for that. So we're a full systems integrator. We can find a solution for any problem that you have. And then we're reaching out to the rest of the PrivacyRules network in order to make sure that wherever you may be doing business, that you are completely covered.
That's great, Chris. Thank you for that full explanation. And thank you for being my guest on this inaugural Meet the Member podcast for PrivacyRules.
Thanks for having us again. It's been great.
A real pleasure. And we look forward to meeting you back here for another Meet the Member podcast very soon. And we look forward to seeing more from Chris Huntington and Nexigen as well. So keep an eye out for them and their phishing tool Snared.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a great night.